Half a year into his solo mission on the edge of the solar system, an astronaut is confronted with an ancient alien creature inside his ship. Will the astronaut make it out alive? Watch till the end to find out. In the opening scene, Jakub is seen walking along a river while wearing an astronaut suit. He then went to a spaceship and he lay down. Jakub communicates with Earth 189 days into his solo mission near Jupiter. He discusses his upcoming analysis of the mysterious Chopra cloud and expresses excitement about unraveling cosmic mysteries. When asked if he feels lonely, Jakub mentions his daily communication with his wife and mission control, emphasizing that his mission makes him proud and not lonely. One of the employees at the space agency received a link to a video Jakub's wife Lanka sent. In the video, she was telling him that she is leaving him. The employee called Jakub and told him that there is a problem with the link and took it to Commissioner Tuma. She told them not to take it to him. Lenka is packing her belongings and planning to leave. Meanwhile, Jakub attempts to call her, but she chooses not to answer the phone. Jakub experiences a disturbing nightmare in which a spider appears to be moving beneath his skin. The spider eventually bursts out of his mouth, causing Jakub to wake up gasping for air. As Jakub is trying to contact Lenka, he hears a strange voice and calls Peter to let him know. Peter suggests South Korea might be responsible due to competition. Concerned for Lenka, Jakub asks Peter to arrange a checkup on her. Jakub wakes up at the bathroom door and sees a giant spider. Startled, he quickly closes the door and contacts Peter to ask about the presence of a camera inside. Peter informs him that there is a camera, but it is not functioning. Jakub returns and opens the door again. The spider speaks to him, telling him not to be afraid. Jakub enters the airlock and informs Peter that they need to decontaminate the ship. Peter, concerned about Jakub's mental state, asks if he has seen anything unusual and suggests the possibility of speaking with a psychiatrist. Jakub's insistence on the need for decontamination leads Peter to initiate the decontamination process of the ship. As he was in the airlock, he saw Lenka in his vision. Peter asked him if he was okay, repeatedly. After the decontamination, Jakub came out of the airlock. He was shocked to see the spider still alive. The spider told him that the Earth chemical won't affect it. The spider kept reassuring him that it wouldn't hurt him. Jakub steps out of his spacesuit and approaches the spider. As he is about to touch it, the spider communicates that physical touch is not customary for its tribe and that the body should not be violated. The spider then explains that it is an explorer, similar to Jakub, and was drawn to the human presence while traveling to the edges of the solar system. It observed Earth from orbit, studied human history, and learned languages, but still did not fully understand humans. Intrigued by Jakub's loneliness, the spider decided to study him, initially intending to do so for only a day or two, but then becoming more compelled to learn. The spider suggests that it might be able to help Jakub. Jakub tries to rest by going to bed, but he is unable to find peace as he begins to experience visions of his wife, Lenka. Jakub is having a tough time because he keeps seeing his wife in his mind. He thinks the strange spider on his spaceship might be causing this. He asks the spider if it's doing this to him. The spider says it wants to help Jakub feel less lonely because it seems like his wife is moving away from him. Jakub says he doesn't need help, but the spider suggests that he actually does. Lanka went to her mother and told her that she is breaking up with Jakub. Her mother told her it was not a good idea, but Lanka was insistent, saying she will go to a center for pregnant women. The spider comes to Jakub's room and expresses a desire to learn more about Jakub's mate. Jakub, feeling invaded, declares that the room they are in is off-limits. The spider asks Jakub if he has any ova. Jakub asks if the spider means eggs, and the spider says yes, it wants to try them. Jakub tells the spider he doesn't have any eggs because they don't do well in space. Then Jakub offers the spider some chocolate to try. The spider finds it tasty and compares it to a type of larva from its home planet. When Jakub asks where the spider's home is, the spider reveals that its home was lost when the Garampeds attacked. The spider explains that it fled its planet and traveled through galaxies and black holes, searching for comfort, until it found Jakub. Jakub is still having visions of Lenka. The spider tells Jakub that the conflict he has with Lenka, his wife, is causing it to feel something unfamiliar, which it identifies as depression. Lenka is having a conversation with her mother, expressing her feelings of insignificance and the challenges she's facing. Her mother asked her what she would tell the kid about her father, and Lenka told her she will tell her about her initial love for Jakub and his ambition. However, she now sees that she was wrong about certain aspects of their relationship. In this scene, Jakub asks the spider if it has a name and suggests naming it to make communication easier. The spider agrees, and Jakub decides on the name Hanus, inspired by a historical figure associated with the astronomical clock in Prague. Hannes and Jakub discuss Jakub's exercise routine in space and then talk about Jakub's father. Jakub reveals that his father was an informant for the party and was killed for his beliefs. Hanus suggests that Jakub is trying to make up for his father's actions through his space mission. Hanus then advises Jakub to focus on being a good father himself, emphasizing the importance of living in the present. Tuma went to see Lenka. Tuma told her they didn't give Jakub her message because she believes it's crucial for Jakub to think that their love story is still intact, especially while he's on a dangerous mission. Tuma emphasizes that silence between them on the Czech Connect communication system is meaningful, symbolizing their shared experience of being lost, afraid, and in the dark, yet still holding on together. This scene highlights the complexities of communication and emotional support in relationships, especially under the strain of distance and danger. Jakub is communicating with Peter as he performs a simulation for the Ferda collection, a part of his mission. They go through technical confirmations, with Jakub reporting the status of the spacecraft and the simulation. An old chat between Jakub and Lenka starts playing unexpectedly. Jakub asks Hannes to stop it, but Hannes responds that he is not the one causing it. While this is happening, Jakub notices a grain of the Chopra substance floating in the ship. He attempts to contain it, but Hannes warns him that it cannot be held. Despite this, the grain escapes the container, and Jakub resourcefully uses the toilet pipe to catch it again. Jakub attempts to communicate with Peter, but he receives no response. Jakub asks Hannes if it sees it too. Hannes cryptically refers to it as the beginning and reassures Jakub that there is nothing to fear. Hannes approaches Jakub with a sensitive question about the arrival of his offspring and why it causes Lenka distress. Jakub insists it doesn't, but Hannes senses dread in Lenka's feelings. Hannes asks Jakub to show him what they fear, leading to a memory of Lenka's miscarriage, an event Jakub wasn't physically present for but has been deeply affected by. The memory reveals Lenka's pain and Jakub's regret for not being there. Hannes points out that Jakub's absence during and after the miscarriage broke his soul, leaving Lenka feeling alone. Lenka went to the center and was introduced by a woman. She took her to a room and gave her key to welcome her. Hannes showed Jakub when he left for this mission. Lenka was crying, but telling him she was happy for him. It accuses Jakub of lying to Lenka, claiming that she feels his lies and that he has welcomed her sadness by breaking promises. Hannes questions how Jakub could fail to see that his actions might lead Lenka to lose faith in him. In this scene, Hannes criticizes Jakub for his lack of effort to understand his mate, Lenka, suggesting that his loneliness is self-inflicted due to his selfishness and short-sightedness. Hannes decides to leave Jakub, stating that his interest in him has expired. Jakub pleads with Hannes not to leave, insisting that he needs him and is listening to his advice. However, Hannes believes that Jakub cannot be helped and advises him to return with a different discovery, implying that Jakub needs to change his perspective and focus. Jakub desperately tries to convince Hannes to stay, promising to do anything, but Hannes's decision seems final. After this, Jakub got devastated thinking of Lenka and feeling lonely. Jakub calls Peter to assure him that everything is fine with the mission, but he asks Peter to visit Lenka. Peter agrees and goes to Lenka, explaining that he is not there to interfere in their relationship, but to help alleviate Jakub's mental state for the safety of the mission. He plays a recording of Jakub for Lenka, in which Jakub expresses his regrets and newfound understanding. He admits that he wants to come home and that he should have made a real effort to get to know Lenka, who is the only thing that matters to him. Jakub acknowledges that he has lived his life for the wrong reasons and does not deserve Lenka, but promises that if he could do it again, he would do it better. Lenka is crying as she listens to Jakub's apology. Hannes returns to the ship. Hannes explains that he cannot let Jakub face the beginning alone, and that he also does not want to be alone for it. Jakub notices that Hannes is not well and asks what's happening. Hannes reveals that he was not entirely honest before. He had said that the Gorompeds came for his people, but he admits that they consumed their offspring and elders, and he fled too late. This revelation scares Jakub, but Hannes questions why he should fear the truth. Hannes explains that he is starting to understand the human concepts of daydreams and nightmares, as they are both essential. Jakub wonders why Hannes didn't say anything before, and Hannes points out that Jakub never asked about him. Hannes tells Jakub that it is time for his great discovery. Jakub got up and conducts a test to ensure communication with Peter, who confirms that he can still hear Jakub. Peter then informs Jakub that they initiated the broadcast of his latest pre-recording, acknowledging that it was important for Jakub to do it live and in person, but they had no choice with the cameras down. Jakub and Hannes finally arrive at the Chopra cloud. However, Peter informs Jakub that they are getting negative readings and instructs him to abort the mission and return. During this time, Hannes becomes gravely ill and chooses to leave the ship to die in space. Despite Peter's shock and pleas for him not to, Jakub decides to follow Hannes into space, wearing his astronaut suit. Jakub finds Hannes in space and asks if the bomba worked. Hannes acknowledges Jakub's efforts, but reveals that the Gorompeds will eventually weaken him enough to consume his flesh, though death will not find him yet. Jakub, breathing heavily, shares a memory of almost drowning as a boy, describing how he could see the sun through the water and knew he was drowning, but the sun would continue shining. He then absolves his father and himself of their sins. Hannes responds by calling the moment beautiful and remarks that it isn't such a bad place to end things. Hannes asked Jakub to follow him and take him deep inside the clouds and showed him the beginning of the universe, where every moment of time exists simultaneously. Jakub is in awe of the universe and acknowledges how little he knew, but he's certain about his love for Lenka. Hannes reveals that they are at the beginning, prompting Jakub to reflect on his first encounter with Lenka and his enduring desire for her well-being. Jakub gave Hannes a jar of chocolate. Hannes accepts Jakub's gift of chocolate, finding comfort as he faces his end. As Hannes fades away, Jakub is overcome with grief because of the loss of his companion. Hannes passed away. Jakub closes his eyes and thinks of Lenka. Then he is rescued by the South Korean space vessel. Once he boarded, he called Lenka. He expresses his newfound understanding and regret for leaving her. He wonders if their past would have been different had he known then what he knows now, and he asks if she would kiss him again. The scene ends on a hopeful note, suggesting a possibility of reconciliation and a renewed future together.